welcome to another biology presentation. So in this presentation, we are going to answer biology questions based on the eye. Okay, so this is specifically revisions to those who are writing their exams this year for both GCE and the internal. So let's look at the questions. So here is our question 1. So our question 1 reads, identify the parts numbered from 1 to 10. So we have the internal structure of the eye, as you can see. We have the parts numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have the sclera here, 9. Then we have the optic nerve. We also have the fovea, 10. Then we have the ventral humor. So I just need to identify these parts that are numbered from 1 to 10. So I'm going to start with the part labeled 1. So what is the name of the part labeled 1? So the name of this part labeled 1, this is the suspensory ligament. So the suspensory ligament is the part that is labeled what? 1. Okay. So not only identifying these parts, but you should also be able to explain some of the functions of these parts of the eye. So the suspensory ligament here, this is one part of the eye that connects the ciliary muscles to the lens, as you can see where it is. Okay, it's connecting the ciliary muscles to the lens. So we have the part labeled 2 here. So based on what I've explained on 1, you can even know what the part labeled 2 is. So the part labeled 2, this is the ciliary muscle. So this is the ciliary muscle. Now the ciliary muscle is just a muscle that contracts, okay, and it relaxes in order to change the shape of the of the lens. So this ciliary muscle is being connected to the lens through the the suspensory ligament. Okay, then we move on to the part labeled 3. So what is the name of this part labeled 3? So the name of the part that is labeled 3, that is the aqueous humor. So what is the function of the aqueous humor? So as you can see, we have this aqueous humor labeled 3, and we have the ventral humor. So the aqueous humor, this part here, the part labeled 3, this is the transparent, okay? It's the transparent and watery fluid that fills the space. You can see it's filling the space between the cornea and the and the iris, okay? Apart from that, the aqueous humor also supports the cornea in the front of the of the eye, okay? Then you also have this part called the ventral humor. So this ventral humor, it is also a transparent jelly-like fluid that fills the space between the lens and the retina. Okay, this ventral humor. Apart from that, it also gives the eyeball its shape and it keeps the retina in place. So that is the difference between the aqueous humor here in front and the ventral humor. We now come to the part labeled 4 right here. So what is the name of this part labeled for this part here? So the name of this part labeled 4, this is called the iris. So what is the function of the iris? So this iris is just the colored disc, okay? It's the colored disc that controls the size of the pupil, and therefore it also controls the amount of light that enters the eye. This iris controls the amount of light that enters the eye, and it also consists of the muscles, where we talked of this ciliary muscles, the one that relaxes and contracts in order to change the shape of the iris. So let us now move on to this part numbered 5 right here. So what is the name of the part numbered 5? So the part numbered 5 is called the cornea, okay? And what is the function of the cornea? So this cornea is just it's a transparent outer layer of the eyeball, okay? It's the transparent outer layer of the eyeball, okay? Now this cornea, what does it do? It reflects, meaning that it bends and focuses the light rays, okay? We now move on to the part labeled 6. So what is the name of the part labeled 6 right here? So the name of the part labeled 6, this is called the conjunctiva. So this is the conjunctiva. And what is the function of the conjunctiva? Or what is its feature? So the conjunctiva is just a thin membrane which protects the front of the eye. So it's a thin membrane which protects the front of the eye. As you can see the way it is, it protects the front of the of the eye, and it's also sensitive to pain. So this is why you feel like if there's something that is about to enter your eye, first it will spot that Okay, sensitive to what? To pain. Okay, I'm sure we can now move on. So we have identified the part labeled 1 up to 6. So we can now move on. We look at the part labeled 7. So these we have identified them: suspensory ligaments, ciliary muscle, upper summa, iris, the cornea, and the conjunctiva. We are now on the part labeled what? 7 right here. So what is the name of this part labeled 7? Okay, what is the name of this part labeled 7? So the part labeled 7 is called the what? The pupil. The part labeled 7 is called the pupil. So this pupil, what it does is that in fact, it's just this pupil is just the opening in the center of the iris. It's just an opening in the center of the what? Of the iris, and this it constricts or dilates. Okay. Now, for it to constrict or to dilate, it will depend on the light intensity. So this pupil now, there is the muscle, and this muscle, it will perform an action of the iris to change the size of the what? Of the pupil. So this is what about the pupil, which can also read that to what we call pupil reflex. So let us now look at the part labeled 8, this part right here. So what is the name of this part labeled 8? I'm sure you are able to see this part. So this part is called the lens. Okay, this is the part which is called the lens. And what is the feature of the lens? So the lens is just it's soft. Okay, it's soft and transparent body which is behind the what? The pupil. As you can see, the pupil is here. So this lens is soft and transparent and is behind the pupil, as you can see. So this lens can change its shape, okay, in order to focus the light rays onto the what? Onto the retina, because those light rays, they have been reflected. The ones which the cornea will reflect here, okay. So the lens, we have said, what it normally does is that it's behind the pupil and it can change the shape, okay, in order to focus the light rays onto the retina. So we have identified the part labeled 8 here, which is the lens. We now move on to the part labeled 9. So what is the name of this part labeled 9? So the part labeled 9, this is called the choroid. Okay, this is the choroid, and the choroid is just, you can see, it's dark. So this one is a pigment which is dark. So it's a dark layer, okay, of the eye, which is it's rich with the blood the blood vessels. This choroid is rich with the blood vessels. So these blood vessels, they supply the retina with what? Oxygen and the nutrients. Okay. Apart from that, the choroid also absorbs the reflection of what? Of light rays within the eyeball, and it prevents the vision to be distorted. So you can see that even the choroid, it plays an important role to the eye. Okay. So we now move on. We have the optic nerve fiber here. The optic nerve fiber, we are able to see it. This one is already written there. The optic nerve fiber. Okay. Then we also have the fovea here. So this fovea is just the region of the eye with no receptors. Okay, it doesn't have receptors, and this fovea, this is where now the optic nerve they leave the eyeball. So this optic nerve, they will leave the eyeball through the fovea. Then we come to the part labeled 10. So this part labeled 10, this is the retina. Okay, this is the retina. So the retina, as you can see, it's inside here. It's inside. So this is the inner layer of the back of the eye, which consists of the sensory neurons and the photoreceptors. So these are sensory neurons and the photoreceptors that the retina contains. They convert the light rays into the nerve impulses, okay, and send to the brain. So it will send the information to the brain, okay. So that is all about the retina. So we have identified these parts of the eye that were numbered from 1 to 10, and we have discussed some of their important functions. So we have answered our question 1. We now move on to our second question here. So here is our question 2. So our question 2, we have A, B, and C. So our question 2 reads, which part of the eye refracts light? So the part of the eye that refracts light is the cornea, which is this part right here. Okay, so the cornea refracts what? Light. Then we come to question B. Which part of the eye focuses light onto the retina? So the part of the eye that focuses light onto the retina is called the lens. Okay, so the lens, this is the part that is able to focus light onto the retina, so that a clear image can be seen. Okay. Then here we have the question C. Which part of the eye controls how much light enters the pupil? Or this one can be rephrased to say which part of the eye controls the amount of light that enters the pupil. So the part of the eye that controls the amount of light that enters the pupil, it is called the what? The iris. It is called the iris, this part right here. It controls the amount of light that enters the pupil, this pupil which is just right here. Okay, so our answer here is what? Iris. So we have answered our question 2. We can now move on to our second question, which is our question 3. So here comes our question 3, and this is our last question. So our question 3 reads, explain what happens to the eye when you view nearby objects and distant what? Objects. So here we need to explain what will happen to the eye when we view nearby objects and distant what? Objects. So nearby objects are objects that are close to the eye, and distant objects are objects that are far away from the eye. So in order for us to be able to explain what happens to the eye when we view objects that are closer and those that are very far, we need to take note of some of the parts of the eye that will change. Okay, so these parts of the eye that are going to be affected are the ciliary muscles, also the suspensory ligaments, also the lens. They become affected once we view objects that are near and those that are very far. So here we are actually just looking at the accommodation of the what? Of the eye. So accommodation of the eye is just the process of producing a focused image of near objects or distant objects on the what? On the retina. So what will happen to the eye when we view nearby objects and distant objects? So what will happen to the eye is that when we view objects that are very near, the ciliary muscles, they are going to contract, then the suspensory ligaments, they are going to relax, and the lens, they are going to become short and fat. Okay, that is what is going to happen when you look at objects that are near. Now, when you look at objects that are very far, at distant objects, what will happen is that the ciliary muscles are going to relax. Then the suspensory ligaments are going to be tight, and the lens are going to become long and what? And thin. That is what is going to happen to the eye. So here we have said that when you view nearby objects, the ciliary muscles, they contract, the suspensory ligaments, they relax, and the lens becomes short and fat. Whereas when you view distant objects, the ciliary muscles will relax, the suspensory ligaments will become tight, and the lens becomes long and what? Thin. So this is what is going to happen to the eye when you view nearby objects and those that are very far. So we have answered our question 3. So we've come to the end of our short presentation. Thank you so much, everybody, for having time to view this content. This has been your presenter, Mr. Mlenga. So if you need online tuitions, you can WhatsApp me on 0963 6766 15. Don't also forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, to invite your friends. They also subscribe so that they will be able to get each and every content that I'll be uploading to the channel. Thank you so much once again. Bye bye.